Hi there, I care and you matter. I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel. And welcome to another casual conversation, casual chat. I love these. I look forward to doing these every week. And if you're watching me right now, I hope that you enjoy watching these too. Today is actually Sunday, October 13th, and I'm actually recording on Sunday rather than Monday because I've got a busy, crazy week ahead. I know, big surprise, right? It feels like they all are. What happened this week? One, I have been becoming increasingly concerned with my husband Jason's anxiety and overall mental health. And here's why. Again, if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know he lost his job beginning of last month. And while he's on unemployment and he hasn't really actively been looking for work yet. He's more caught up in trying to gain the skills he feels he needs in order to compete for the positions that he wants. He has been a graphic motion designer, animator, 3D digital artist, all that good stuff. He's a trained animator and actually went to CalArts, which is the Disney school for animation, and it's very prestigious, very difficult to get in. And way back when he and I graduated from college, well, they didn't have a bachelor's degree in 3D animation. 3D animation wasn't even around yet. And so the 3D skills that he's learned has been on the job, self-taught. And so he knows that if he's going for that kind of job, that kind of role again, he has to compete with people with degrees in 3D animation. And I'm sure you know as well as I do that sometimes age is not a uh, something that helps you necessarily when you apply for jobs. And so he's struggling a bit with that, understandably so. But we try to go for walks at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. And on our walk yesterday, he shared what I was actually thinking. And I was keeping my mouth shut because sometimes I think it's important to let other people come to their own conclusion. And I didn't want to make assumptions about what he was feeling. And I could tell his anxiety was still crazy high. It fluctuates. Some days his anxiety is good, and it's better than when he was working. But other times it's high because even though he's not under the pressure cooker of working somewhere where they didn't value him or his skills, he's now under the pressure cooker of, okay, I got to get a job. Unemployment only goes for so long. What am I going to do? What am I going to do next? And yeah, that's a lot. So when we were on our walk yesterday, he said, I think I am stuck in a place of constantly learning. I'm learning, I'm learning, I'm learning. And he doesn't know if there's ever going to be enough learning for him to feel like, okay, now I'm ready. Now time to move on to a project, time to apply for a job. And while he was saying that, I'm biting my tongue because he's exactly right. Just like I get caught up in planning because I enjoy planning. I enjoy, playing with all the analog stuff, the calendar, the planner, the notebooks. It's not moving me forward. Planning is planning. Planning isn't doing. And learning is learning. And while learning is great and has a place, and I'm actually actively trying to be more intentional about learning in terms of story and craft and writing, it's not doing the stuff. And while it might move me forward intellectually and it might help my writing, it will inform my work, it doesn't actually move my projects or my goals forward. And so I told him, Jason, I don't know about you, but for me, the very best way to learn is to just pick a project and tackle it. And that's because when I hit a roadblock or something that I don't know how to do, okay, I got to learn how to do it right there, then in the moment, in order to continue to move forward, to continue to have progress. And so having a project that's worthwhile, that I'm enjoying, that's meaningful to me, that's important to me, lights the fire under my butt to learn whatever it is I have to learn in order to move forward. And for me personally, there's no better rush than finishing a project. And so I'm really encouraging him to do that. But I also know he's in this place of struggling with, is this even what I want to do anymore? And he has shared with me that if he could do I asked him multiple times, if you could do anything you wanted to do without any consideration to money, time, training, and none of that, what would you do? And he looked at me and he said, I would write. But his confidence in that is so low because he hasn't done it in years. He actually wrote a screenplay when he was a freshman in college. Freshman? Sophomore in college? Early on in college. Obviously, what, 30 years ago now? Yeah. But he hasn't done any writing since. And so he's got horrible lack of confidence in that area. And I'm like, look, this is an opportunity. You are never going to get a better chance to try something out. And I'm not saying, work on writing at the expense of looking for a job or other things. I'm just saying, if you can find time to watch YouTube videos on video games, he collects vintage video games, you can find 15-20 minutes to actually write. And so I realized that the advice I was giving him is the advice I need to take, because I haven't even gotten to my part of this this week. My mental health has been really in the crapper this week. And I sat down, I was trying to figure out why, and it's been a whole vicious cycle. I've been appealing Mark's disability claim with the Social Security Administration. I've been applying for his SSI, Supplemental Security Income. I had to set up his annual assessment with a social worker from the DDA office. What does DDA stand for? It's Developmental Disabilities Administration. I think that's what it stands for. So they come to our house once a year. They're here for 3 to 4 hours. We do paperwork. It's a lot. So I was dealing with all of that this week. And that just time-wise takes a crap ton of time. It's a crap ton of paperwork. And it's mentally and emotionally exhausting. And, oh gosh, this week. So this week was planning all that and preparing for all that. But I can't believe this. SSA, the Social Security Administration, randomly assigns you an interview for Mark. Excuse me. And you don't get to pick the day and time. And you don't get to pick if it's in person, on the phone, or on camera. Well, the good news is we got a phone interview. Okay, that's great. I don't have to drive Mark anywhere. The bad news is he was upset because he's going to have to miss school, but that's just the way it is. And so it is scheduled for October 28th. It's a Monday. Now get this. Do you know when Mark's annual assessment, that 3 to 4 to 5 hour interview assessment where the social worker comes to my home, checks everything out, does all the paperwork? Yeah, that would be that Friday. So on Monday, October 28th, I've got Mark has, but I have to be there, the Social Security Administration interview. And then that Friday is his annual assessment. Now, I'm trying to see the bright side of this. I'm working real hard. It'll all be done in 1 week, right? That's great. And it'll all be done before the holidays. We love Christmas. We are Christmas fanatics. And so I love fall too. I love Halloween, but we don't really decorate for Halloween. We decorate the first weekend in November. So I'm going to be excited because by the time we're decorating for Christmas, all of that will be done. Thank the Lord. But this week and doing all of that has been a lot. I am also in the process of applying to be Mark's individual provider. And what does that mean? Because of Mark's disabilities, he is eligible for Medicaid to help pay for taking care of him, all of his basic needs. And now that he's 18, well, before 18, that was me. I'm the mom, I'm the parent. It's my job, my role to care for all of his basic needs, even the needs that developmentally he should be able to do, but isn't because of his disabilities. Well, now that he's over 18, I found out that if he lived somewhere else, Medicaid would help pay for that. But because he doesn't, because he still lives in our home, I can apply and be paid for a portion of caring for him because he is legally an adult now. So ironically, that was easy peasy. I'm waiting to be matched with him because the DDA, the interview or the annual assessment happening on November 1st will inform how many hours he's eligible for an individual provider, an IP, to care for him. So yeah, it's been a lot. And because of that, I've made some really crappy choices in terms of eating habits, because I would get busy, skip a meal, and then eat really junky trail mix. And the more I think about it, trail mix, not great. I mean, the nuts are great, but it's full of raisins, there's M&Ms in there, it might as well be candy. Anyway, I recognize that me eating so poorly has led to an increase in my menopause symptoms, which has led to a lot of sleepless nights. And long story short, I have got to get back on track. I have been so busy worrying about Jay, and I'm still in a flare. Why am I in a flare? Because I realized that at the beginning of September, I was doing okay because I had to ensure everybody else knew everything was okay. Our son Nate was concerned. Mark is, he don't have a clue, and I don't expect him to. It would be inappropriate for him to. But our other son, Nate, who's 19, he gets it. He knows what's going on. My husband, it was hard on him emotionally. He was stressed out about the money. He was stressed out about healthcare. Understandably so. My in-laws were worried about us. So I was kind of holding it all together to make sure that everybody else was okay. And then Mark had gotten in trouble at school. It was just one thing after the other. And so it was just yesterday morning. I'm like, why am I feeling so crappy physically? Why am I feeling so down? Well, gee, I wonder. I'm so busy taking care of everybody else. Oh, I might cry. There hasn't been any support for me, which is ironic because I find these videos to be incredibly therapeutic. And I am one of those people who processes verbally. And oftentimes I don't go to other people because I need help. I just need to bounce ideas off of because it's when I hear it. When you're in the echo chamber of your own thoughts, it's very easy because you think of an echo bouncing off the walls. Well, hearing it over and over again reinforces that. And it can be positive or it can be negative. And lately, I've had a lot of negativity, a lot of stress bouncing around in between my ears in that echo chamber. And so when I come on here, I explain it and I share it so openly with you, but then I also hear it and I hear it differently. And so I'm proud of I don't want to beat myself up here. I've been proud of myself because I have been going for walks minimum once a day, usually 2 times a day. There have been a couple weekends I went 3 times a day, despite the fact that I am in a pretty bad psoriatic arthritis flare. But I didn't want to stop the progress of my walking. But not great. I've gained weight. Not fun. And I don't want to be stick thin. I don't want to make a video about weight or calories or dieting because I will never be stick thin, and nor do I want to be. I'm just not built that way. If I'm really frank, well, let's go ahead and go there. When I was senior in high school, my parents said that if I lost weight, they would help pay for breast reduction surgery. And so I did. And actually, doctors told me, oh, if you lose some weight, you'll lose breasts too. They'll get smaller. And so I did. I lost 120 pounds. It was a lot. I didn't do it the right way. I took Dexatrim, and that worked real great. Went for a consult for the breast reduction, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's not happening. But I hated the way I looked, and I hated the way I felt physically. I just felt incredibly out of proportion, very uncomfortable in my body, and so I gained the weight back. Not all of it, some of it. But now that I'm older, I still don't want to be a thin person. I just don't want to be. But I do want to be healthier, especially now that I'm in menopause and really feeling it. And so like I said, I'm trying to go for, those minimum 1 time a day walk. And we live in a wonderful neighborhood. I'm so blessed, so grateful. So there's a loop that I can do. And on other days where I want to do even more, the track, local middle school is close to us, and so I can walk the track a couple times. And on days where I'm feeling really up to it, I can do some hills. Anyway, very grateful for that. But my eating habits have not been great because I'm stressed out, because I'm not prioritizing myself. So, small changes, right? So one of the small changes I made is I splurged. I bought some Market Spice tea, which I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love me tea. I love iced tea, love hot tea. And so I bought Market Spice tea, and my husband Jason is a type 2 diabetic. And so I'm like, okay, this is 0 sugar, it's 0 carbs, it's okay for diabetics, and it's great for me. They have a decaf version, but I like the caffeine. So I bought the caffeinated one, the normal one, and it's been such a treat. In fact, last night, 8:30, Jason was munchy, and what did he do? He had some Market Spice tea instead. It's a little pricey, but if you're into tea, Oh, it's orange and cinnamon. It is the best, especially during fall. So I highly recommend it. In fact, I'll put a link to it down below because you can get it on Amazon. Anyway, so that's been a treat for me because it's sweet, it's comforting, it's very satiating. It helps you feel full, and it's just a treat. And I ordered a cart because I think in my last video I talked about I'm making a learning cart for myself. I'm trying to prioritize things for me. I don't have, this is kind of a touchy subject too. I don't have a relationship with my mom, my dad, my brother or sister anymore, nor my aunts or uncles or cousins. And the only person in my family that I had any kind of relationship with was my grandmother, who passed away 2 years ago. So that's been rough. So I don't have any, I don't have any support system for me. And so I'm trying really to be mindful and intentional of doing things to help myself. And I realize that I don't have any hobbies. And there's not really, the one thing I did enjoy, I tried picking up a couple months back. It was the drawing and the coloring. And while I enjoy it physically, I just can't do that with my hands anymore. It's not an option. It was more depressing than helpful. And so I was trying to decide, well, what can I do? What do I enjoy? And I realized I really didn't have anything, and that's not healthy. So I decided I'm going to read the books that I want to write. And why did I want to write a middle grade fiction book? Because I enjoyed reading those books when I was teaching to the class. They're easy reads, they're quick. And I thought, no, there's no rule. Just because I'm adult doesn't mean I have to read adult fiction books. I'm like, So I am going to fill up my learning cart, not just with books on craft and stuff I want to learn about, but also I'm going to make it into my TBR, to be read cart. And I allowed myself to go pick out some books at my local half-price bookstore, and I splurged. I found a book at Barnes & Noble's. I paid full price. That felt like a huge thing. It was $8.99 for a book. But I thought, you know what? No, this is okay. Yes, we are on a budget because, Jason, my husband, is unemployed. But it's okay for me to spend $8.99 on a book, and so I did. The book I'm almost done reading now is called Crenshaw, and you know what? I'm going to save my review of that for another video because that's a thought. But the one I bought at Barnes & Noble's, so Crenshaw I bought at half-price bookstore, and I bought The Wild Robot at Barnes & Noble's, and like I said, I splurged, but it's supposed to be really popular. It's supposed to be a really good book, and it's actually being turned into a movie in the fall. And so I thought, yeah, I'm going to pick some books and read them just because I want to. And at first it was like, oh, that's kind of a waste of time. And then I remember trying to rationalize it. Oh, but this could inform my own writing. And I stopped myself right there. And I thought, no, I don't have to have a reason. I have value. And it's okay for me to do something just because I want to. And I can't believe that at my age, I'm feeling like I have to justify things. No, I don't have to justify it. But I've never shared this before. But you'll notice that every single video I start with, hi there, I care, and you matter. And why do I say that? Because I genuinely do care. I love people. I love connecting with people. And I remember when I was teaching 4th grade, there were so many kids in my class. I've taught every grade, preschool through 8th grade. But my favorite was that 4th grade. Ooh, I spent the most time there and I loved them. But I had a lot of kids in my class who felt like people didn't care about them. Some of them, well, let's just go there for a moment, shall we? Some were being abused by their parents. I had a little girl whose dad, she came into school one day. Oh, why is this getting to be such a downer of a video? She came into school and I noticed some burn marks on the tops of her hands, not her arms, her hands. And I asked her about it, and they were perfect burns, perfect lines. I asked her about it, pulled her out in the hall so she wouldn't be embarrassed, and she said, "Oh, I just burnt myself pulling cookies out of the oven." I'm like, yeah. I didn't say anything. I said, okay, well, we need to, take care of those. And I sent her up to the nurse, and they took care of them. And long story short, as a teacher, you're a mandatory reporter. And I reported it, and it turns out Dad was taking curling irons and burning her and her mother. So there was that poor girl. And in that same class, there was a little boy. His name was Arnold, and I'm not sharing his last name, obviously, but he had a horribly abusive stepfather. And mom had many kids and was married to the stepfather, but because, for whatever reason, stepdad hated Arnold and didn't mince any words about it. So Arnold didn't feel like anybody cared about him. I had another boy. I don't know where mom was, but dad was living under a bridge in downtown Seattle, and dad was hiring prostitutes to watch this little guy, my student, while daddy was off doing drugs. I could go on and on and on, but needless to say, all those kids in that class needed to know that somebody cared about them. And so I try to be very overt about that, because the difference and the impact, just knowing somebody cares about you, is huge. And so I genuinely care about you. I may not know you personally, but if you're watching me right now, I genuinely care. And I want you to know that you matter, because you have inherent value. And I know that sometimes we can take that for granted, because I take that for granted. I don't take care of myself. Sometimes it feels like people don't care about me. Sometimes it feels like I don't matter. And when you are a caregiver, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just somebody caring for aging parents or whatever, it's so easy to give and give and give and give and give and forget that, hey, wait, I matter too. And I need to take care of myself, and I need to be intentional. And so going back to what I was sharing about my week, it's been a crazy week. In fact, you're noticing that I'm wearing this shirt a lot. Why am I wearing this shirt so much in all my videos? Because wearing this shirt makes me happy. And that's one little thing I can do. I mean, I wash it every day. But it's one little thing I can do to make myself happy, to take care of myself. It doesn't take money, but it does take intentionality. And so I've got 2 weeks coming up before the week from hell lands in my plate and on my calendar. Again, that is the October 28th to November 1st. Oh, it's going to be... Isn't that great? I get to spend a whole weekend thinking about the Monday, the SSA appointment. And then I have all week to clean the house and finish the paperwork and get everything ready to be assessed and, checked out by the social worker on Friday morning. Or Friday afternoon, excuse me. So, yeah, that'll be fun. But I have the 2 weeks up until that point. And so I have making intentional changes today, and I am going to, even if I have to put a little star on my little planner every day, that I am consistent with my changes. So what am I doing? I am eating better. I'm continuing my daily walks, minimum one time a day. I am intentionally doing things to take care of me, which includes doing something that I enjoy. So I am going to finish Crenshaw either today or tomorrow. I'm excited about that. And then I'll start the other book, Wild Robot, shortly. And I'm going to drink copious amounts of Market Spice tea. Why? Because I enjoy it. And if you are a tea fanatic, like I said, I highly recommend it. It's a really strong orange and cinnamon flavored tea. It's won awards and everything. It's that good. So I'll leave a link to that below. If you've watched all this video, this has been a long one, I apologize. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me, and I hope you have a great week. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.